my fellow Americans. If you think you know politics, think again. I'm Michael Cohen, and every week on When You Know, we're pulling back the curtain on power, politics, media, and the people making headlines. On my new WABC radio show, you'll hear conversations from names that you know. People like Jerry Falwell Jr., Anthony Scaramucci, Alan Dershowitz, and many, many more. Maybe, just maybe, we'll even hear from the president. No scripts, no spin, just real conversations with people who were in the room where it happened. And trust me, we've got some very big surprises coming. Look, I've spent years at the center of politics, controversy, and power. I know the players, I know the stories, and now I'm bringing you inside. When You Know, Sundays at 5 p.m. on WABC Radio. And When You Know Unleashed, wherever you get your podcasts. Because with me, you never know who's going to show up.
Feisty, fearless, and fair. She's an Emmy-winning journalist from the White House to war zones, telling all sides of the story. This is The Rita Cosby Show.
Lovely Rita, meet a maid, nothing can come between us. When it gets dark, I tow your heart away. Standing by, parking
News.
And tonight on the Rita Cosby Show, lots of developments happening in the Middle East. In just the last little bit, word is coming out that CENTCOM, Central Command, U.S. Central Command, is sending 20 U.S. warships and 2 aircraft carriers towards Iran. This, of course, after President Trump had threatened to reinstate the naval blockade and after the death threats against President Trump. So things are really heating up there. They're also stepping up sanctions to go against accounts and other banks that are essentially tied to the Ayatollah's son, these sort of shadowy financial networks. There's a lot of them. I'm wondering why that didn't happen sooner. But it seems like President Trump is truly fed up, and he really understands who he is dealing with. I mean, these Iranians, as he's described, are scum. They're dangerous. They're crazy. And they don't seem to be getting the message, no matter how much pounding they're getting from the great U.S. military. So maybe things may be escalating very quickly with the fact that all of these warships are now heading to the region. Then the other question, too, there are reports tonight also that satellite imagery is showing some movement at the nuclear sites in Iran. So if that's indeed the case, they're obviously violating the ceasefire with that as well. So all of these things combined could be providing some very significant military activity. I believe, President Trump, you need to finish the job militarily. He has done more than any American president to reign in Iran and pound them and teach them a lesson. But these people are lunatics. They're not normal. These are people who continue to be zealots and continue to shout death to America. We saw them shouting it in the streets this week. And now we also know of this plot to kill President Trump from the Iranians. And you could just tell President Trump is done with playing games with the Iranians. And here is Katie McFarland. She's the former Deputy National Security Advisor under President Trump. We talked with her earlier on Katz and Cosby, and she said right now President Trump has free reign to do whatever he wants to especially the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. And she essentially said that she believes that the Guard Corps is extremely significant in terms of how they are pulling all the strings, that these are sort of the real diehard zealots. These are the ones that range anywhere from tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands. They could be as many as 2, 3, 400,000. And if you have 2, 3, 4, 500,000 of fanatics, of zealots, that's a lot. That's a lot that you need to take out. So it's basically time, I think, to get rid of everything attached to these people. Any barracks, any buildings, any locations, especially military locales attached to these people. That is all 100% fair game. And you need to pound these people into submission. Here is Katie McFarland talking about what she thinks needs to happen now with the Iranian Revolutionary Guard.
Yeah, and what Iran has just done, just think about it. So they've apparently, throughout Iran, there are posters put up, say, wanted dead or alive, Donald Trump, reward offered, kill Donald Trump. Guess what? We have just gotten absolute justification for killing all the IRGC. President Trump says we got rid of their top-tier leader, Tier 1, Tier 2. Now we're working with Tier 3. Guess what? We could now have a rationale for targeting those IRGC leaders and go down to Tier 4, 5, 6, 7. We did not target them. Israel, what I have heard is that Israel wanted to take out, during the Ayatollah's funeral, wanted to take out some of the leaders because they're all congregated there for the funeral, right? And then President Trump said, no, don't let them have their funeral, let them have their day. They've asked for their time. And now that the Iranians have responded by the goodwill gesture that President Trump did by firing on those ships, I think we now have every right and responsibility, frankly, to start taking out some of the Iranian leaders.
And I think it is time. I think we should have done it a while ago. I'm not quite sure why we waited, but President Trump, boy, has he shown incredible restraint. And also, there were reports this week that a variety of different groups, that the Kuwaitis, the Bahrainis may have even participated in strikes within Iran, against Iran. If that's indeed the case, that may show, obviously, that President Trump has shown enormous constraints, enormous, patience. And even the Middle East, those neighbors who have been getting fired upon, but still had a decent relationship prior to all this with Iran, they're fed up too. So maybe President Trump's patience has truly galvanized a coalition of support against these monsters. And here's Laura Trump, because she said President Trump is the man for the moment who could deal with all of these incoming attacks. How is everybody doing in the family? All these threats against your father-in-law. We've been thinking of him so much. Thank goodness he's in control of the world. Thank goodness right now.
Amen to that. I couldn't think of another person who would be better suited to handle this time in not just our country, Rita, but the entire world, other than President Trump. But you're so sweet to ask. Listen, we're so lucky. We have incredible people around us. Obviously, the president has a very tight security team of Secret Service around him at all times. And listen, I think that he knew going into this second term in office that this was a possibility. Look at the things that happened during the campaign in 2024. Look at what this man has endured. But, it's for the greater good. It's for setting our country on the right path and the world on the right path. And I think he knows that, at the end of the day, it's all ultimately worth it. So you're very sweet to ask, though. Thank you.
And here's a little bit more from Laura Trump, where she talks about just how incredible it has been, the stress on her and her family with all of these incoming threats. Yeah, I can't even imagine, just with all the threats. And he said, listen, I'm doing this for the world. And he keeps repeating it's Iran, obviously. No surprise. You took out Soleimani. He's had the guts to go after them again. The other thing is the UFC. The more details about the UFC, too. It's from many different directions. Yeah,
and it's I'll tell you, that one is even scary for all of us. I had my kids at that event, and you look at the number of people who showed up, not just there at the White House, but the larger group of people who were outside, who were there at the Ellipse watching on the big screens there. It's really sad that we've kind of come to this place in our country where you see more and more of this happening. But I think the message that the president wants to send, and that all of us from our family want to send, is that we never should stop living life. We never should stop fighting for the right causes. We should never let these people intimidate any of us from doing the right thing and moving down the right path. And so I think, you keep your foot on the gas, and this is what the president has continued to do as well. So I think for everybody out there, I would say stay in the fight, stay facing the right direction, and we'll be right there alongside everybody.
And there is quite a fight in American politics tonight. I just saw that next week, the Democratic Socialists of America, by the way, are going to be putting out their platform, their official platform. Now, we've heard some of the crazy things we've talked about here on the Rita Cosby Show, but boy, it's even crazier than I imagined. Here's some of the things that are expected to be kind of officially laid out next week. That the Democratic Socialists, of which Zoran Mondani and a whole bunch of others are a part of, and Graham Plattner, who officially dropped out a few hours ago, thank goodness. And we'll get to his sort of departure letter, because in the departure letter, he talks about blank ice is what he says. You can imagine the 4-letter word. And then he says, free Palestine. Those are the two things he says in his letter on his parting gift to Maine on the way out. What a class act. But the Democratic Socialist platform fits a lot of these things. The platform is abolish the Senate, not just a senator, not just change the numbers. Nope. It has abolished the entire Senate, abolish the Supreme Court because they don't feel it's fair, abolish the presidency. I guess they just want come one, come all. Defund the Department of War. They don't want any funding going to the Pentagon. And the amnesty they would like to see for all illegal immigrants. So all the immigrants that are in this country illegally, and remember 20 million came under Joe Biden, they're saying no matter who you are, even if you've committed a really horrible, heinous crime, we would love to have you stay in America. I mean, these people truly have lost their minds. Abolish police, abolish ICE, and abolish prisons. I mean, this platform is like a scene out of Mad Max. This is really dangerous. And do they actually think that people who care about public safety are going to want to vote for these people? I mean, you might want to go, okay, health care for all, some of those things. Those are, noble missions, if you will. But defunding police, opening up the prisons, even having severe criminal migrants stay in this country, this is really scary. The next election truly will be common sense versus crazy. And I guess they're going to do some big presentation to lay it all out because they're so proud of this platform. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Larry on line 1. Larry, your thoughts tonight.
Yeah, well, Rita, just to close the discussion we had a couple of nights ago about Graham Plattner and his tattoos, his 2 parting shots, blank ice and free Palestine. If you put those two together, what I get is Heil Hitler. And that's what you get from tattoos on your forearms and on your chest when you're running, when somebody's running for senator. They don't stand for issues. They stand for just ideology. What ideology is destroying your issues, the things you care about. That is their ideology. They don't have any positive things to set forth. It's all about destroying what you have.
And Larry, I'll let you go on, but let me just say, I agree that the DSA platform's clearly that. I know, and I remember when you and I talked earlier in the week, I'm not a fan of tattoos, but there's some tattoos that are nice tattoos that are sentimental, and they're not Nazi tattoos like this guy has. I mean, that right away was a big old blaring sign that this is enormous trouble. When you got a tattoo of a death camp guard, the Totenkampf, that's a pretty big blaring neon sign saying this is one bad hombre.
Okay, well, I just think it's also the.
I know you don't like tattoos at all. And again, I'm not a tattoo fan in general, but I will say there are people who have nice sentimental tattoos, and they're not like Graham Plattner. So now about the Iran war.
Yeah, I wanted to say is, I think that this whole fiasco, what's going on, I think is a lesson that we have to allow wars to be fought by generals and by Pentagon officials, because Trump is pretty much you don't hear about any generals doing anything. You don't hear about Pete Hegseth making any decisions who, by the way, I think is a phenomenal defense secretary. And, he puts these people on the sideline, and then he starts having a heart. Why does he say to the Israelis, let them have their day? These people slaughtered, he himself said they slaughtered 50,000 people. And so they should have something? They should have their day where they slaughtered 50. They shouldn't be able to crawl out of their houses. So you see, that's why if you look at the face of General Jack Keane, okay, on TV, he's on TV a lot, he looks like the face of death. You don't want to come face to face with that guy in a war situation. Okay, that's why you got to leave it to the generals. Okay, that's why this whole thing has been a fiasco.
So now, but Larry, you got to give him credit that at least he has done the damage he has to Iran. He's clearly sent a message to the world that they cannot have nuclear weapons, they can't roam freely, they can't terrorize the world. I mean, it's a heck of a lot more than we ever saw from Biden or from Obama. I mean, you got to agree with that. Is it perfect? No. Yeah. But he's also hasn't been this like enormous warmonger, which is what a lot of people were saying. Oh, this is terrible. He has shown unbelievable restraint. And I applaud him for that. But I think now it's time to finish the job.
Well, I think it's like being pregnant. You can't be a little pregnant, and you can't win a war a little bit. You got to go either all out or not at all.
So are you for all out right now?
I was for all out. When I heard that they started shooting people in the street and in the hospitals, they had to be destroyed right then and there because they are rebels. They're not a government. They want to be killed. This is a death cult. They want to fight until the death.
Yeah, Larry, I hear you. They're almost like those kamikaze pilots, the Japanese in World War II that were coming into Pearl Harbor. It's like an honor to do it. And you're right. These people are nuts. They are crazy. I always thought that was going to be the case. I did not think this was going to be an easy one. But I really commend President Trump for taking the fight to them. And as you just heard, apparently all these warships are en route. So what does he have up his sleeve? We may find out in the next few hours. 1-800-848-9222. And everybody, we will take your calls when we come back here on The Rita Cosby Show on a very busy Friday night where there's a lot of news breaking. Who knows what's going to happen with Iran? May happen during this show.
This is The Rita Cosby Show.
And let's go to your calls. Let's go to Robert in Philly, line 1. Go ahead, Robert. Your thoughts tonight.
Hi, Rita. As always, it's great to talk to you. I just wanted, and I hope you guys all have a great weekend.
You too.
Thank you. I was calling because there's things going on that the media is not talking about, and it's absolutely driving me nuts. And it's just because they don't want to give Trump credit. But Hamas is dissolving its governing body and is going to hand over control of Gaza.
Yeah.
Hezbollah has been decimated in southern Lebanon. The IDF holds that ground now, but they're going to be replaced by Lebanese army troops taking over. And this is something that would have never, ever happened if Trump hadn't have been elected. And I think it is progress that needs to be talked about.
Yeah, Robert, I'm really glad you are talking about it because you're right. These are enormous, enormous deals. And Robert, if you want to stick with us, we're going to go to a break because we've got a hard break here. But I'd love to hear more because I agree with you. These things need to be spotlighted. They are monumental.
It's The Rita Cosby Show. The Rita Cosby Show presents Back to Blue.
And this Back the Blue segment coming from New York, where some really incredible footage came out this week, body cam footage showing the moment that NYPD officers heroically rescued a woman who was perched atop cables of the Brooklyn Bridge, those steel cables that are above the East River. and they were able to pull her to safety. It's really incredible because you can see these images and you see them climbing up these cables, getting to her. This was a woman in crisis who was threatening to jump. Now, footage shows that they were able to reach the woman. Her feet were dangling over the edge of one of the bridge's steel cables. The officer can be heard, "I just want to talk. What's happening today? I genuinely care. I do. It's a permanent solution to a temporary problem. It really is. I don't know what you're going through, but I want to understand. We have services we can get you to. The strongest thing you can do right now is accept help. I promise you that's the strongest thing you can do." Thank goodness they were able to reach the woman and get her just in the nick of time. They put their arms around her and around her waist and her arms and pulled her to safety. They spent nearly an hour talking to the woman before safely bringing her down the bridge. But boy, it shows the professionalism and patience and care of our great men and women in blue of the NYPD. And that woman is now getting the help that she needs and a second chance thanks to their professionalism. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go back to Robert in Philly on line 1. And Robert, thank you for holding. You were talking about everything that's going on in Lebanon and in Gaza. And you're right. You know, the president doesn't get enough credit for these things, right?
Obviously, and I'm sure that Israel was able to take care of business because Iran was a bit too preoccupied to help out Hezbollah and Hamas, and that was the secret sauce in it, I think. And once that's dealt with, and believe me, Rita, I don't have rose-colored glasses on. I'm not saying, hey, we're at the promised land, everything's great. There's still a lot to do, and there's still a lot of hoping that things that have happened so far continue to work out. But I'm looking at what he's doing, and I'm looking at possible assistance from other countries, maybe on a clandestine level, to destabilize from within. And I'm saying we're making progress. Please stay the course and finish the job. And I'm surprised at his restraint. And although I don't know a lot of what's going on that they know, I would say that the only two game changers that I can think of to expedite the situation would be to take Carg Island or to take out the mullahs. Now, if you take out the mullahs, I believe the world will condemn us immediately, and that leaves us with Carg Island. And for people who don't want boots on the ground in Iran, I agree with you. But it would be a lot easier to defend Carg Island from Iran than it would be to go into Iran. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, you're right, because it's a separate island there. And obviously that's where all their oil facilities are. So it really hits them where they hurt. You know, the one thing I'm curious, Robert, what do you think these 20 warships and 2 aircraft carriers, American ones, that are heading to the region now, what do you think that means? What do you think they're doing?
I think that might mean a possible incursion into Carg Island, or it just means that they realize that if the Navy stays in the area for the long haul, that will help maintain any progress that's being made on the ground. Basically, just here's our way of making sure that things stay normal until things turn normal. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
no, and let's hope that happens soon. They're also, tonight, they announced, the Treasury Department announced that they're doing sanctions, and they're sanctioning the sort of new supreme leader, the Ayatollah's son, you know, who we haven't seen, but they're sanctioning his bank accounts and some of these shadowy banks. They've done some investigation on where he's moving money. I'm sort of surprised that didn't happen sooner.
Well, I'm looking at, like, down the road, Rita, do you find it odd that we're not hearing, like, anything from China or Russia about this? Because they're both worried about what's going to happen in the future. Trump has cut off 80% of China's black market oil that they were getting for $50 a barrel, way under the market rate. And they're scrambling, and I'm surprised that they're not complaining louder. I would say that I'm surprised that they're not hooking up with Russia to build a pipeline, but Russia can't sell oil for $50 a barrel because just for their state to be able to run, they need to make $59 a barrel. You take all this into account, and Trump is playing chess. He is one of the best macro cause and effect negotiating presidents that I've ever seen in my lifetime, and I'm extremely proud of the job he's doing. Please be patient, stay the course, get her done by the end of the summer.
Yeah, I agree. And listen, even though all this like turmoil and up and down has happened, you really haven't seen in the last few weeks too much change with the oil markets and the gas prices.
No.
I mean, it shows that the market understands that Trump is in control and that there's going to be ups and downs, but they're not panicking. So they're kind of doing your message too, like just stay with it and see where it goes, see where the next few weeks goes. I also think, Robert, this new stuff that came out about Iran threatening to go after the president, even though like we're hearing it wasn't like a completely, specific, like it's this time, this place. But the fact that it seems like it really disturbed the president, that they clearly are showing their hand that they cannot be trusted in any shape or form. And he obviously took it serious enough that he didn't take Air Force One back from Turkey to England. He took the old one, but the new one, he didn't take it until they swept it. They did a security search. So there's clearly something pretty serious there. And it seems like his tone has changed since he was in Turkey, that he learned information that clearly shows these people are planning something serious and cannot be trusted. So I think we're going to see some stepped up action. What do you think?
Well, I think that he's been in Iran's crosshairs for the last 5 or 6 years. So while it's nothing new, it is certainly more serious. But you're right in that he is showing remarkable restraint. And on a funny note, I can prove that he's showing restraint because he didn't bomb the new Ayatollah during Pride Month. And I think that was a nice thing of him to think of.
That's
you have
true.
A great weekend.
That's
Rita.
true. He is believed to be gay. You're right. There are many reports of that. Robert, you always make me laugh, and I love you, and have a great, great weekend. Let's go to Stan in Forest Hills on line 2. Stan, what are your thoughts?
How are you? How you doing?
Good. How you doing? How are you doing?
Let's cut the BS.
Let's get to it, baby. Go ahead.
No, I mean, let's talk reality here, not fantasy. What that guy said. Number one, you and I both saw, and just give me a minute or two. You and I watched TV on Monday or whatever, and we saw the funeral of the Mullers. Correct? Big. I think it was Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah, it was over the weekend. It kind of went for a few days. Yep.
Okay. There must have been 100 or 250,000 people at this funeral. Correct?
Oh, yeah. At least. I mean, there are estimates that it was a million plus.
Now, let's get to it.
Right.
Did you see these people surrender? Did you see these 200,000 or feel like they're losing this thing? No. When they're dead or not, that didn't make a difference. These people are winning the war. They're not losing nothing. And I see it. That was, for me, the convincing. You would think, Rita, they'd put signs out. We saw nothing. They are even more committed than before. So the idea that we're winning this thing, we haven't won it. We've lost it, the way I see it.
Oh,
wait a minute.
wait. All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
And this is the main thing, and he's not going to do it. I know this guy. Unless you're willing to put troops on the ground, 250,000, 500,000, and fight these people, it ain't going to happen. You can bomb them. It doesn't mean anything to them. You have to go in and kill these people, and you got to send in troops, Rita. We did it in Iraq, and we won the war against Saddam. Okay? We did it. We sent in troops in Afghanistan for 20 years, but we got out of there and so forth. But Vietnam, we sent in troops over 15, 20 years. We lost that. But if you don't send in troops, you're not going to do. You can bomb them. They're not going to surrender either. You saw it. I didn't make it up. You saw these 200,000, and there's got to be millions more who are supporting these lunatics. My point is, he has to say to himself, there's no other way. And he has to send in troops, Rita. Believe me, I don't want him to send in troops. I know what the death toll will be. You know, too. And I think that's on the general's mind. You don't hear anything. But they have to sit around the table and say to themselves, if this isn't going to do it, unless you drop the nuclear bomb and are willing to wipe them out like Truman did, and then they might surrender. But I don't see it. Do you see them surrendering? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No problem. It's interesting to hear your perspective. I obviously disagree. So, first off, let's get to the funeral. Let's start in the order you talked. You talked about the funeral first. Yeah, it was a massive outpouring. You are absolutely correct. It was a huge outpouring. Their estimates said it was like 1 or 2 million people, and they were waving these death to Trump, death to America flags. And that is troubling. I'm not surprised. That's also propaganda. They took advantage of that for the world to see. It's a big, I think is, 91 million? I have to look at the latest number, I think, of Iranian population. So, yeah, all right. So they had just a few percentage points out there on the streets. Big numbers, but it's more also for the world to see and propaganda, too. And because President Trump said, we will allow you X days to mourn. So, my druthers, I would have gone in and leveled the place where the funeral was. Now, Iran winning the war, that's a ridiculous comment, Stan. That is not the case. Clearly, America is in the control. Do we have a long way to go? I'm not sure, but we do have at least some way to go. There's no doubt. And I don't think we have fully finished the bombing campaign. Everybody said that it was like 20% of the targets didn't get hit in the first round. They paused. They said, hey, you're ready to come to the table. President Trump tried to give them opportunity after opportunity, which is a noble opportunity for the world to see that he's been trying to get them to come to the table. And they're not doing it. So I still think there's a lot more targets they could hit. And I think they should be leveling everything tied to the IRGC. I'm not really sure why we haven't bombed the IRGC barracks. I'm not sure why we haven't started bombing. We hit IRGC boats the other day, but I think we got to really start hitting a whole bunch of them because there aren't reasonable actors that are leading the Iranian regime. That's where I'm a little confused because you hear these reports of, they're dealing with more reasonable actors. I don't think they are. I don't think there's any reasonable actors that are in control there. There's not really any civilized, reasonable actors. That's my personal opinion. I don't think you need troops on the ground, Stan. If you do a extremely aggressive air campaign, the Israelis might send troops on the ground. It maybe doesn't have to be U.S. boots. And who knows if some of the Arab countries help. They're mad because they've been getting targeted. And then you also have the one other thing. You talked about, we were talking about sort of Cargill and some of these other things and nuclear sites. I think there could be some sort of coalition that really goes full throttle and goes after these people. And I think we need to also hit them economically. I was stunned to learn tonight that they're going after these shadowy accounts tied to the son of the Ayatollah. Why are we waiting? I'm a little confused on that. I actually think we do need to be more aggressive. I do not think U.S. boots on the ground should happen, and I'm sure the president absolutely wants to stay away from that. But maybe the Israelis are willing to send the boots on the ground. It's their neighborhood, and they understand the risks very well. They're right there on the front lines. Maybe it's U.S. in the air, and it's Israelis on the ground. What about the Kurds? They were supposed to come help the people there, too, in Iran, and we haven't heard very much about them. So maybe there's some of these other groups that might get engaged. I think there could be a combination of things, but Stan, to sit there and say Iran's winning the war,
Rita,
that's a ridiculous statement.
No, Rita, look at what we see, okay? Look over, and we negotiate, then we stop. We go, we stop. We go, we stop. I mean, it's pathetic. It's embarrassing. But here's
what would you like us to do? Hang on. No, hold on. What would you like us to do other than boots on the ground? What would you like us to do?
Bomb them to hell, kill them all. I got no qualms. Me, I'm liberal. I'm liberal about many things. But when it comes to war, this thing with these people, you've seen it. That picture was worth 1,000 words, and the words were, "You can go to hell, America." That's what they were saying. You can kiss our chop suey. They were telling us when they were marching. They didn't, and you were right. They had signs up and so forth. The picture is there. There is no way we can win this unless we send troops in and take over Tehran and so forth. You think they'll give up on bombing? You have to have such a bombing that's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for 10 months to a year.
This is the Rita Cosby Show.
Let's continue your calls here on this Friday night here on The Rita Cosby Show. Let's go to Gail in Pennsylvania, line 2. Gail, your thoughts?
Hi, Rita. I think you're always the best.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. You are.
Thank you. Right back at you, Gail. Right back at you.
I do not think we lost in Iran. I feel that from the beginning, President Trump staged it as a military operation, and the play was to not allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon. And they don't. And I think they're just able to randomly shoot at ships because they want, from what I've read, to raise the price of oil because the economic warfare that we're waging is effective. So this randomly shooting at ships is just a result of them trying to survive economically. They want to raise the price. And I guess they still sneak some of the purchases through, of oil.
And I think also they want, obviously, to control the strait. They use it, obviously, like you said, as an economic leverage. And also, they're just trying to use it from a power leverage, too, because they know if they can even dishearten one or two ships from coming through, it may affect many others. And the message gets down the pike, and then insurance companies aren't insuring them. People don't want to go. It's too risky because they're such big vessels. And it just gives them a point of leverage. So, yeah, there will continue to be these sort of errant, missiles coming in and also these drones. But I do still think, and what are your thoughts? There are a lot of things I didn't agree with Stan on, obviously, Gail, who just called before. But the point about sort of finishing the job, there does seem to still be some unfinished business from a military perspective. And what do you think of that? I mean, because I feel like if there's some way to clearly put them in line that they will not control the strait, and also to give some more pain to the IRGC. I think they deserve more pain.
Well, Rita, there are alternate routes now developed among countries that have used them. It's my understanding.
Yeah, there's a southern route that the U.S. and Oman, and then there's sort of this other route that Iran is giving to people, and I'm sure they're charging something. But the problem is most of the ones that are getting through in the last 24 hours are getting through in the Iran route. So, and it may be that they're afraid to go the other route because they're afraid of the repercussions.
I just feel that they are contained, and their military is devastated, really. They have a few of these missiles and drones left to do this random terrorism, which they've always done. No, I would be surprised if President Trump starts more than responding. Like, if they shoot something, then he'll do 10 shots at a bridges or something. I don't think he's going to go beyond that.
Yeah, and one of the things, by the way, and he may not, maybe he's sending them to the area to send a message. Maybe he's planning a blockade. By the way, he said he's going to do 20-1. They hit one thing, 20 come back.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.